By the time Amara Okonkwo defended her PhD thesis in urban policy at the University of Lagos, she'd learned how to fold her heart into neat, unreachable squares. She came from a one-room face-may-face-you in Ajigunal, a childhood of kerosene lamps and borrowed textbooks, of a mother who salted soup with prayer and a father who trusted the dignity of work more than he trusted luck. School was Amara's escape hatch, then her engine. She rose on scholarships, side hustles, and the stubborn belief that tomorrow would stretch if she kept walking toward it. Love, however, was a door that kept slamming. People whispered that Amara had suffered all kinds of abuse. The truth was precise and cruel in a softer way, not bruises but belittling, not broken bones but broken trust. Men who called her too ambitious, who used her gentleness as leverage, who gaslit and withdrew, who turned affection into a ledger she could never balance. She left each time not because she was fearless, but because she decided she would not be smaller for anyone. So she built instead. She flipped a decaying duplex in Surulere into student housing while still in school, then parlayed that into a portfolio, short lets in Lekki, a modest commercial block in Yaba, a co-working annex above a bakery in Onairu. When people said, "Empire," she smiled and thought of late rent and busted pipes, of learning to negotiate with contractors who underestimated her. In the same season she launched CC Spoons, a fast-casual jollof and grills franchise with clean aesthetics and fair wages, and Haven House, an NGO offering counseling, legal aid and safe microloans to women leaving emotionally abusive homes. If there was one thing she couldn't manage, it was social media. She posted as if Instagram were a filing cabinet. Her best friend, Ifeananya, Ife to everyone, rolled her eyes and built a proper page. Warm, documentary snippets of site inspections, a short video on hiring ex-trainees from Haven House into CC Spoon's kitchens, and quick reels where Amara accidentally charmed the camera by being busy and sincere. "I created the account, you live the life," Ife said, pressing the phone into her palm. "Just show up once in a while. People root for stories that aren't pretending." Amara laughed, promised nothing and posted anyway. A grainy sunset over Third Mainland, her steel-capped boots on a dusty floor, a caption that read, "We make spaces safe." The likes were modest. The messages were practical. Her heart, carefully folded, stayed put. The message arrived on a Tuesday night after a 12-hour day juggling a contractor dispute and a staff training. It was from @Netareats, "Your caption about safety? Hit me. I've followed Haven House for months. Thank you for doing this work." His profile held quiet photos, books on a windowsill frost blurred by winter glass, a wheelchair basketball game in a Munich gym, a selfie at a Nigerian food festival in Berlin with a caption in breezy Igbo, "Anya na-ff, but the pepper was worth it." She replied because the message wasn't hungry, only kind. What began as thank yous turned into easy exchanges. He was Chinedu Schaefer, Nedu, a data engineer in Bavaria, Nigerian mom from Anambra, German dad from the Black Forest, raised between languages and winters. He asked smart questions about sustainable housing. She asked about German zoning quirks just to make him laugh. They became daily narrators for each other's ordinary. Traffic reports from Ozumbambadu, snow reports from Marienplatz. They ate together on video calls, balanced phones against salt shakers for restaurant dates, watched the same film from two continents and texted commentary as if whispering in the same theater. When work crushed her, he sent her voice notes that sounded like a blanket. "Drink water. Breathe. You are not just building things, you are building time for other people." She teased him for the way he counted in German when stressed, the efficient precision that softened whenever his mother called. Months stretched. The friendship fattened, then shifted quietly into something with edges. One night, after a whirlwind investor meeting, she found a little message waiting. "If we were in the same city, I'd bring flowers and ask to take you to dinner for Real. Since we're not, can I say the thing anyway? I like you, Amara." She read it twice and felt her carefully folded heart twitch. They didn't tumble, they negotiated the slope with care. The first "good morning, mine" arrived weeks later, a question folded into hope. She answered with a laughing yes that meant more. They met each other's friends on group calls, swapped family stories, drew imaginary maps. A future where flights were commas, not oceans. And then, on a night bright with Harmattan stars, he asked, gentle but not shy, "Marry me." The word hung between them, warm and impossible. Amara went still. "I've never seen you," she said softly. "Where I come from, it doesn't work like that." Neda didn't argue. "Okay," he said. "Then it's time I came home." Murtala Muhammad International smelled like metal and plants. Amara stood with Ife's arm around her waist, flowers clutched too tightly, breath stuck in the space where courage usually lived. She scanned the arrival's gate for the face she knew only in pixels and light. When she saw him, the world narrowed to a point, and then widened with a shock that knocked her steady footing loose. He rolled through the doors in a wheelchair, shoulders squared, eyes exactly the same as on her phone, intelligent, kind, steady. Beside him walked a caregiver, Jonas, pushing the luggage trolley and chatting about Lagos heat like it was a person to greet with respect. For a heartbeat, Amara's expression, surprise, confusion, a flicker of grief for the version of their first meeting she'd unknowingly written, crossed her face. She hid it quickly, but not quickly enough for herself. The drive to the serviced apartment in Victoria Island was a polite choreography. She fussed over accessibility, showed Jonas the bedroom with rails and space to maneuver, placed flowers in a jar on the table. Nedu kept the conversation light, travel, weather, the jokes they'd saved for someday. Ife squeezed Amara's hand before leaving. Breathe, she whispered. He's the same person. Except he wasn't the same, Amara's fear insisted. Or maybe she wasn't. It wasn't pity. It wasn't even shock alone. It was the vertigo of realizing she had built a future in her head without consulting the body that would live it. That night, when he asked if she wanted to stay over in the guest room, she hugged him at the door instead and said she needed sleep. Of course, he said, smile honest and a little tired. Tomorrow. Tomorrow came jagged. She canceled lunch, citing work. He texted sweetly, she replied slowly. On the third day he asked, on a terrace where the lagoon held the sky in place, should we talk? They did, carefully. He told her about the accident years ago, about pain and patience, about how he hated to be framed by pity more than anything in the world. She told him she was overwhelmed, that she didn't want to hurt him by pretending certainty she didn't yet have. He nodded, eyes soft but clear. I'll be honest with you too. If you can't accept me as I am, I understand, but I won't litigate my worth. I fly back in 5 days. Take the time. Decide. Her phone went silent in her hands after he left. Lagos roared around her, generators, horns, a salesman singing mangoes into the afternoon, and she felt the ache of something precious loosening its grip. The first day without him, Amara worked like punishment. She signed contracts, sent staff memos, visited a site in Anthony where the scaffolding complained in wind. On the second, she sat on the floor of her living room and told Ife the unsparing truth. I'm not shallow. I know I'm not. But I am scared of future logistics, of being caregiver and partner, of resenting what I didn't plan for. I am scared of waking up a different person than the one I promised to be. Ife didn't argue, she asked questions, the kind that showed a friend's faith. What do you miss right now? Amara listed them helplessly, morning voice notes, the way he listened to silence, the nerdy delight he took in her spreadsheets, his habit of sending her pictures of clouds because all architecture starts with sky. On the third day, she visited Haven House and listened to women tracing maps from pain to possibility. One woman said, love is a choice you remake every morning. On the fourth, Amara reviewed accessibility designs for a new CC Spoon's flagship, ramps, wider aisles, lower counters, and realized how easily these had become non-negotiable to her simply because they should have always been. Somewhere in that thought, a hinge turned. On the morning of the 5th day, she drove to the airport with a heart that had unfolded itself without asking permission. She found him in the departure hall, Jonas by his side, tickets printed. He looked up and the tired hope in his face undid her. I'm sorry, she said, words tumbling. Not because of the chair. Because I let fear make me cruel. She took his hands. I love you. I don't know the logistics of the next 60 years, but I know I don't want to learn them without you. Can we try, properly? The smile that crossed his face wasn't triumphant, it was relieved. Yes, we try. They gave the tickets back to the airline and gave Lagos a chance to host a love story in 3 dimensions. They went on actual dates, clumsy and perfect, pepper soup at a quiet spot in Ikoyi, a slow roll through Nike Art Gallery where the world spilled color at their feet, dinner at Terra Culture where he waxed lyrical about Suya as if it were a symphony. They curated moments, pictures in a photo booth he found at a pop-up, her laughter loud enough to startle her. She learned the choreography of transfer and patience. He learned the choreography of her relentless days and loved her in them, not around them. One evening when he apologized for being a lot, she shook her head. You are not a project. You are my person. The words settled between them like a done thing. It happened on an ordinary Thursday smudged with meetings. Nedu texted mid-afternoon, can you help me pick up my meds? Jonas is out handling a courier issue. She swung by the pharmacy, cursing traffic and smiling anyway. When she opened the apartment door, The smell of roses folded into candle wax, and the world brightened into ceremony. Red and white petals wandered across the floor like a map to the balcony. Gold ribbons softened the light. Her favorite High Life playlist hummed in the background. Friends and family, Ife, her mother, 2 cousins from Surulere, even a couple of Haven House staff, stood awkwardly delighted, phones already wet at the corners. Amara covered her mouth with both hands. Nedu waited in the center of it, in his chair, dressed in a jacket she had once called, "your professor's blazer." He rolled forward, stopped, lifted his chin and very slowly rose. She gasped as his legs steadied as he took one step, then another. He wasn't fluid, but he was able. Then he knelt, holding out a ring that caught all the candles at once. "Would you marry me?" he asked, voice steady, eyes not leaving hers. Silence happened like a wave. Then 100 thoughts wrestled in Amara's chest. Delight, shock, a sting of betrayal so sharp it tasted like iron. "You can stand," she whispered, not as a question. He nodded, shame flickering. "I can. I use the chair most days, it helps, it's true, but I'm not paralyzed. I hid that part. And there's more. My family is comfortable. My father runs a group of companies. I wanted someone who wanted me without the noise. I've been testing. It's ugly when I say it like that. I'm sorry." The guests held their breath. Ife's eyes said, "Your choice, not mine." Amara stepped back, anger clear and clean. "You used disability as costume," she said, voice low. "You turned trust into an exam." He nodded, pain honest. "I did. I thought I was protecting myself. I see now I was asking you to pay for other people's sins. It was wrong. I can't undo it, but I can choose differently. I've already earmarked a significant donation to disability access projects in Lagos, quietly, not as penance theater. I will also apologize to Jonas for conscripting him into deceit. And if this ends here, I accept that." He lifted the ring a little, not to pressure but to ask again who they were to each other. She looked at the faces she loved, at the man who had been steadfast in every way that had mattered before this moment. Trust was not a switch, it was a garden. Some things would need replanting. "Stand up," she said softly. He did, slowly, carefully. She took the ring, waited, then met his gaze. "We will not do secrets again," she said. "And you will make those donations. And we will go to counseling because love deserves tools. If you can promise that, then yes." His relief was a prayer. "Yes," he said. And when she let him slide the ring onto her finger, the room exhaled. They married twice because families hold multiple languages. The court wedding in Lagos, August heat, a bouquet that tried to escape its ribbon, her mother crying into a lace handkerchief, was brisk and beautiful. The white wedding in Munich months later was a winter fairy tale with Nigerian laughter in it. Her uncles arguing playfully with German caterers about pepper tolerance, his father, Lucas, giving a toast in careful English and easier Igbo, saying, "My son found home where 2 worlds touch." Nedu's family flew Amara's relatives in business class and housed them like royalty. Still, amidst the spectacle, the thing that mattered most was small. Vows spoken like work they wanted to do. They chose a counselor and kept going even when the calendar grew crowded. He made his donations and did not announce them. He joined Jonas at a local adaptive sports event in Lagos and listened more than he spoke. She invited him into Haven House training sessions, where he sat in the circle and asked, "How do I show up without making it about me?" They both learned to apologize quickly and completely. Twins arrived in a season of laughter that felt like reward. 2 girls with Amara's serious eyes and Nedu's sideways grin, named Ada and Lila, the kind of names that sound like songs. They split their time between Lagos and Munich, their lives full of airport routines and grandparents who lived on opposite calendars. Cece Spoons opened a Berlin outpost that served Plantain the way God intended. The real estate firm expanded into inclusive design consulting. Haven House grew a legal clinic that changed the outcomes of women's cases by refusing to be intimidated. People called their wedding the talk of 2 towns, but the real talk was in the kitchen at midnight while babies hiccuped in their sleep, in the 6 a.m. taxi to the airport when they counted suitcases and tiny socks, in the long lane of ordinary days where love either withers or earns its keep. When the story of their beginning came up, and it did, sometimes in whispers and think pieces, Amara would say with a rueful smile, "We began in sincerity and stumbled into deceit. We chose to fix it. That choice is the vow we keep remaking." On a spring afternoon she stood on a ramp outside a new community center in Lagos, one Nedu had quietly made easier to enter, and watched Ada and Lila race toward their father. He waited at the bottom with his chair and his cane in his open arms, a man who had learned the difference between a test and a trust. Amara felt her heart, no longer folded tight, beating in the wide country of her chest. She had built homes, kitchens, safe rooms, but this ordinary, brave, unglamorous faith, was the architecture that mattered most. And against all the predictions her past might have made, she was happy.